horn is...
Guys say, hey, it's on the horn.
With a smile on the video. Hey, it's on the horn with Zach Joachim. What's up, Zach Joachim? What's up, Zach Joachim?
I waited until the end of y'all's bit to throw the paper at you, and now you're just going to ruin my whole intro here. Should we do the suits next game? Because Phil made a joke about that in the press conference.
I think
we the suits didn't exactly work against New Mexico.
I think we go all out and do black tie tuxedo event.
See, I don't have a tuxedo.
Nor do I. I could go black tie and white shirt and do the whole bit. I might do that next time. That's a good
I
idea.
don't have a white shirt or a black tie.
I think we got to make it happen.
Is this the first time that I've really outdone y'all this season in terms of the get-ups? I think it is.
I don't think you did, but
Really?
It's happened before.
Subjective.
Fair.
I think, I was kind of dressing down for this one. My semester just ended.
Congratulations.
I still look good. So.
Keep telling yourself that, Marcus. What's up, guys? I'm Zach Joachim. This is On the Horn. VCU beat Niagara 84-58 tonight. And it was a weird game. That final margin, I don't think, does justice to how much VCU struggled for long stretches of this game, right? They're up 37-34 at halftime. And then I pointed to this juncture when we've talked about it in the postgame press conference. It's 53-46 heading into the under 12. I think the cloud of the New Mexico loss hung over the atmosphere in this game. From a fan standpoint, from a VCU bench standpoint, it took them a while to get into this. But then they got ignited a little bit. Michael Belle catch and shoot three on the left wing with 10:15 to play. That gave him a 10-point lead at 56-46, and I think started what ended up being a 23-8 run. Over about an 8-minute stretch in which they finally gained the separation. I mean, look, Niagara was 2-8 coming into this game. They're 2-9 now. I think the line was hovering around 30 points. I saw 29.5. It may have gotten up to 32 in some circles, depending on what betting website you're looking at. The 26-point margin does not tell the full story of this game. Lazar Djokovic was fantastic. 18 points, 7 rebounds, 4 blocks for him. His rim protection was key, especially in that run in the second half. And good to see him have kind of a bounce-back game after struggling with some key turnovers late against New Mexico. Michael Belle, man. A huge shout-out to Michael Belle and the confidence that he's playing with right now. Career-high 15 points for him. 4 of 4 from 3. 5 of 5 from the field. I mean, think about how much Mike struggled with the outside shooting confidence for all of last year. And going back to his freshman year, I mean, teams were, defensively sagging off of him so much, daring him to shoot it from outside. I think he made 2 threes all of last year, Marcus said earlier in the press conference, and now he's made his last 5, I believe, going back to the corner 3 against New Mexico that brought that deficit to 75-73. Late in that one, and he's playing with a world of confidence right now. 2 blocks for Mike as well, continues to do it in the rebounding battle and defensively. Terrence Hill Jr., 14 points, 3 assists. He is 6 of 12 from the floor, 2 of 7 from 3. Teams are starting to guard him differently, right? New Mexico face guarded him a ton, keying off on him defensively, trying to take him away with how well he was shooting it to start this year. He's at the top of the scouting report for opposing teams now. And so I think good to see 3 assists for him. He was setting up teammates a little more, and I asked them about that in the post-game press conferences. They've had conversations internally about, hey, if teams are going to guard Terrence this way, then we've got to use that to our advantage to open up the floor for other guys. Nick Lewis, 12 points, career-high 12 rebounds for the freshman, 4 assists as well. He continues to 3 pieces of paper all at the same time. That's a cheap shot, gentlemen. Go Pats. Marcus is a Bills fan. I'm a Patriots fan. I don't want to talk about it. I'm flicking him the bird right now, which we can't put on camera. And we can't put on camera or on the air or in the story a lot of things that Phil Martelli said to his Rams at halftime. The players said that. Phil said that. He said that hasn't been necessary at many points for this group, but it was very much necessary at halftime of this one because, like I said, it was just, this whole place was sleepwalking for at least a half, probably I'd say 8 minutes into that second half. That, instance that I pointed to at the under 12 is really where they got it going. So for 28 minutes of this game against the Niagara team, you were supposed to blow out. It was a really poor performance for VCU. It's a huge win to end up winning by 26 in this game, I think, because that's really not going to hurt the metrics. On paper, it looks like a ho-hum Monday night. During exams, during winter break, you're always going to expect kind of a lackluster atmosphere, in here relative to the best that the Siegel Center can be, relative to New Mexico last week. which was electric with a bunch of high-profile people in the house for what was a marquee non-conference matchup, was always going to be a step down tonight in terms of atmosphere and energy. And the guys talked about it in the post-game presser. Like, they understand that this place can't be turned up to 100 for every game. And it certainly wasn't tonight. And they had to create their own energy, and the fans got into it midway through that second half. Barry Evans also in double figures, 10 points, 3 rebounds. A couple guys that we need to talk about. Jadrian Tracy, 3 points, 11:05. He only played. I don't think he saw the floor in the second half. I don't think he's injured or anything. I think that was just a personnel decision by Phil. Other guys had it going. But I thought of him as the guy who's been around the block in college basketball, has won NCAA tournament games at Oregon, that you would want the ball in his hands, like late in the game, in like the New Mexico game and crunch time, with him making those decisions. And I love his energy, his communication on the bench. Like, he continues to be a connector and a leader for this group, but the production on the court is not there for him right now. And I think that starts on the defensive end. Phil said, I asked him in the post-game presser, like, what changed for you guys right around that under 12 where you were finally able to start getting separation, and he said it began on the defensive end. They were picking up full court in the first half, but not in the same way that they were in the latter stages of the second half. They had a different energy. They created some turnovers, got some deflections. This place is always going to feed off of that more than it feeds off of anything else because of the identity and the DNA of this program. And so that finally got the energy kick-started a little bit. What else do we need to touch on? Jordan Tillery, only 5 points. An assist, a steal, and a block. I mean, his stat line I don't think does justice to the energy that he provided. His spark was a big part of that resurgence in the second half. And I'm going to sit down real quick because we're going to look at my play-by-play here. There's a moment that I want to point to. Yeah, right after the under 8. It's 58-48. It looks like VCU is going to win this game, but it's still just not the dominant showing that you would expect in this matchup. And then Tillery, pretty spinning drive in the lane, reverse finish off glass. That makes it 60-48 with 6:55 to go. Matched their largest lead to that point. That was Jordan's first bucket. And then a couple minutes later, Michael Belle kicks to Tillery on the left wing. And he got this place truly on its feet for the first time tonight in earnest. Drove to the cup, hung in the air, finished through contact from a couple of defenders. It was a really explosive finish, showed off the athleticism for him. That made it 65-48 with 6:18 to play. And that was the first moment for me in this game where it was like, all right, they're finally in control, and dominating this game from an energy standpoint like you expected VCU to do. Wearing Niagara down was certainly a part of that. VCU 34-12 edge in bench points, 18-4 edge in fast break points. They were able to push the tempo there in that second half. And a big narrative part of this game that I should have touched on earlier that we haven't said yet, VCU 16 of 33 from beyond the arc. That's 48.5%. New Mexico did it defensively, packed the paint, dared VCU to shoot it from outside. I think that's just part of New Mexico's identity defensively. But it seems like maybe that might be a common thread for opposition, feeling like that's the way to beat VCU is to pack the paint, dare them to shoot it from outside. But it's going to help a lot when you make 16 of them in a game, right? And it might give some of these next few opponents pause in trying to attack VCU that way, because they started 7 of 9 from beyond the arc, but then they fell in love with it a little bit, right? And maybe started settling for some threes. But I was talking to Robbie Robinson and Adam and Marcus and Brian and everyone after the game there. When you make that many early, it's so tough not to keep taking them, right? And I think Phil would probably be happy. Everyone said this. We probably think Phil would be happy with 28-30 of those 3-point looks. Like, how many of them were forced up bad looks? Not many of them. And there were some that for me are just wide open, and you have to take those. You got to be able to demonstrate that you can knock them down consistently. So it'll be interesting to see if that's a defensive approach that VCU sees more consistently. They ended up 27-54 from the field. That's 50%. So they made 9 2-point field goals and 16 threes. They only had 2 twos, I want to say, in that first half. And so that helped Niagara stay in this game. Niagara finished with a 32-20 edge in points in the paint. So that's certainly not something you want to see and something they'll want to improve on. Niagara, 16 offensive rebounds as well. Now, look, they shot 23 of 65 from the field. That's 35.4%. 5 of 20 from 3. That's 25%. When you're shooting those numbers, there's going to be some rebounding opportunities. But they'll certainly want to clean that up. VCU will allow the Purple Eagles to grab 16 offensive boards. Lazar Djokovic getting to the line as well. I should throw that out there. He ended up 11 of 11 to go along. I think I already said his stat line, but it was great. 18.7 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 11 of 11 at the line. I don't know what the exact number is, but I think he's definitely leading this team in free throw attempts on the season. And him getting to the line consistently, I think, forces other teams to collapse that defense, and he's dealing with a lot of crowded lanes, but when he's able to at least draw contact, then that gives VCU an inside presence to run through, and everything else collapses, opens up good looks for other guys around the floor. But anyway, that's about all I got, guys. VCU led for 36-16. A 26-point win over Niagara, I think, is par for the course in terms of the metrics. It doesn't do justice to the long stretches of this game that VCU struggled for. But hats off to them for figuring it out and ended up winning by 26. And we're on to, who do they play? Is it American on Thursday? I think it's American on Thursday. So I've got the press conferences posted. I'll do takeaways to get them posted in the morning and talk about what we learned from this game. The other thing I wanted to touch on, Tyrell Ward, man. They got to try and figure out a way to get Tyrell Ward going and boost his confidence. He only played 137 in this game. He had 2 turnovers. It was really bad for that short stretch of the first half that he was on the floor. He looks kind of disengaged. Obviously a guy that sat out last year, from basketball. So I don't know what's going on for him off the floor. But it seems like that might be a factor in how he's struggling right now. So I'm sure Phil and that staff are just trying to speak confidence into him. To get him playing the basketball that we all know he's capable of. I mean, that was a guy that, was a huge recruit out of high school, obviously transferred from a big program at LSU. I voted him, I think, 3rd team all-conference, preseason. I expected a big season from that guy. A lot of people expected a big season from him. We all know he's capable of playing at such a higher level than he is right now. So that's a guy VCU will want to get going. Anyway, Rams 84, Niagara 58. VCU improves to, 7-4. On the season now, and they'll get ready for American on Thursday. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm Zach Joachim. This is On the Horn, and I'll see you in a few days from the Siegel Center.